Hey guys, welcome back to Brian's Mysteries and Adventures on Trail, and today's topic is not something I really want to talk about, but everybody has been requesting it, and it is, a pretty awful thing, and we are going to be talking about the National Park serial killer and who he was and what happened and basically the story. And this guy by the name of Gary Hilton was just a crazed lunatic who unfortunately slipped through the cracks of the system throughout the years. And when you hear parts of the story, you'll probably be just as appalled as I was when I read about some of the things that he did and got away with before a lot of these tragedies could have been prevented. For one, in 1959, when he was only 13 years old, he shot and wounded his stepfather, who, in Gary's words, had taken away his mother from him. And his stepfather, being a nice guy, actually decided to say, okay, well, I'm going to give this guy a second chance. He didn't press charges. Instead, he sent Gary to a mental hospital, and Gary was later released. But, despite this crime, when he was 17 years old, he was actually able to enlist in the army. And he was sent to West Germany, I believe, as part of the Davy Crockett platoon. And it wasn't long into his service in this platoon that he started hearing voices, and he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. So he was put into another mental facility, and he was given an honorable discharge. This was in 1967. Now, after this time, he went through several marriages, 3, I believe, but no children. And it was, I believe, the last marriage where he married a woman named Betty Sue Edwards Galloway. She was a security officer for Atlanta's Stone Mountain Park, and they ended up getting divorced in October of 1979. But that kind of solidified his love of the outdoors, and he was already into the outdoors. And this is sort of where his reign of terror was spurred upon. But to understand this, we have to look back through the different cases. And the first one we can look at is that happened in December 7th of 2005 in Bryson City. And it involved a woman named Rosanna Milani. On this day, this man walked into a general store in Bryson City, North Carolina, with this older man with graying hair. And unfortunately, Rosanna was suffering from bipolar disorder, but she had wanted to hike the Appalachian Trail. Who knows how these two connected, but the man at the time told the clerk that he was a preacher who traveled to various campsites around the Appalachian Trail, preaching to them. And according to this clerk, Rosanna looked very nervous. The two of them just bought a sleeping bag and they walked out, and that was the last time anyone ever saw her alive. In December 1st of 2007, Cheryl Hodges Dunlop, she was 46 years old at the time, she disappeared in the Apalachicola National Forest, and this forest is one of the biggest in the state of Florida with over 632,000 acres. She was living in Crawford, south of Tallahassee, and she was a nurse at the Florida State University Health Center, and she was a mother of 2. She was a very Christian woman. She loved her faith, she loved her family, and after she didn't return to teach her Sunday school class, which was never happened, they reported her missing on December 3rd. Now, on December 4th, Cheryl's Toyota Camry was found with a flat tire on Crawford Highway Parkway, just outside the park's entrance, like where you'd walk in before the county line, and on the southbound shoulder of US Highway 319. I know this is a lot. I'll try and put the best maps I can up. Who knows? Maybe she had been attempting to flag someone down for assistance. It's hard to say. But on December 3rd and 4th, security camera footage showed a man in a rubber mask attempting to use her bank cards at ATM images. These images showed a tall, thin, apparently man wearing this mask, which I just think is just such a coward, using her card to withdraw money. And obviously he had the PIN number, so he got the money. Now, at this point, the police did try and stake out the ATM location for over a week, but the guy never returned. And apparently they had almost 200 people turn out for on Saturday, December 8th, to search the wooded area near where the car was found. And unfortunately, on December 15th, hunters in the Apalachicola Park near the Blockham Cutoff Road noticed birds doing what they do. And upon inspection, they noticed that it was birds on a human remains. And when they investigated it further, they noticed that it was remains without a head or any hands. But unfortunately, the case stalled and it didn't go anywhere. And then in October 21st of 2007, John and Irene Bryant, they unfortunately encountered Hilton while they were hiking the Pickett National Forest in the Appalachian Mountains, western North Carolina. And this coward POS Hilton killed Irene Bryant using blunt force. Then her body was later found by authorities several yards from where the couple had parked their car. Hilton kidnapped her husband, took his ATM card, coerced him into providing the PIN, and then forced him to get the information. John was then taken to Hilton's van in the Untitled National Forest, and he was ultimately executed, all for $300. I mean, this guy was just a complete psychopath, and it just pisses me off. Any man that would actually hurt anybody else, especially an elderly couple, I mean, it's just unbelievable to me. I'd rather live under the streets, under a bridge, than harm another couple. And this is just, I'm sorry, but it just really upsets me. But you guys wanted to hear the story, so I'm telling it. And it doesn't end there, unfortunately. Meredith Emerson from Beaufort, Georgia, decided to go for a hike with her dog on January 1st in 2008 to Blood Mountain, Irene, in Chattahoochee National Forest. And Blood Mountain is the highest peak in Georgia's national park, and it's about 4,400 feet. And Meredith left a message for her roommate, said, "On taking the dog for Ella hiking, and hope you had a fun day." When Meredith didn't show up on January 2nd, 2008, her friends and boyfriend obviously became concerned, and they began to search for her. Eventually they found her car parked at Blood Mountain Trailhead. Meredith obviously had encountered Gary Hilton and his dog Dandy sometime on the trail. They probably struck up some kind of conversation. And while they were walking together, at some point, he attacked her with a knife, and probably we know she fought back with brute force. And that's what I think is so great about this story. She is the hero of this story. All these people are the heroes. She fought back, and he kept asking her for her ATM card, and she made him drive around to different places, and she kept giving him the wrong number, which was smart because it would make the bank think that there was somebody fraudulently trying to use her card. Now, on this same day, a man named Seth was walking the trail, and he saw, he was an ex-cop, and he saw this ground that had been torn up. He looked like it had been a fight. Water bottles, dog leash, sunglasses, a police baton, and woman's hair clip were all scattered on the ground. Now, minutes earlier, he had seen elderly man sort of walking with a young woman carrying a dog leash, which he thought was suspicious, but he mistakenly thought that they were a father and daughter, just walking in the woods together. This man, Seth, got a gut feeling that something was wrong after finding all this scattered gear, and he spoke to another hiker that was on the trail named Bill, and Bill was also with his fiance. And they had spotted this man, this scruffy-looking man, and the man seemed impatient, as if he was trying to flee from them. Unfortunately, neither of these men called the police reporting anything suspicious. Now, the Union County Sheriff's Office and other local emergency personnel conducted their first search after Meredith was reported missing by her roommate on January 2nd, 2008. Due to the severity of the situation and the lack of resources, they contacted the Georgia Bureau of Investigation on January 2nd, 2008, and they did their own forensic analysis, and then they got a call from a name named Bill Clausen, who had seen the information about Meredith's disappearance on the TV. And this is where everything started to sort of take place. They knew that something had happened, and then a man named John Tabor, who was watching just CNN arbitrarily at his lunch break, he called and said, I know this suspect. The guy's name is Gary Hilton. He's done work for me. He was last seen here and there, blah, blah, blah. And this is where actually they started to actually have a suspect and know where to look for someone. Apparently, while Gary Hilton was hiding out at this restaurant called the Huddle House Restaurant in Marble Hill, he actually called one of his coworkers in DeKalb County for money, and he said that I wanted money, I wanted a check, but unfortunately this employer didn't report this to the police. Then on January 4th, a lawn care truck got stuck near, like, in a stream where apparently Hilton was camped. The driver, Mr. Andrews, walked towards Mr. Hilton, and he said that apparently Mr. Andrews jumped back into this chair and he jumped out of the way like he knew something was wrong. It just made no sense to him. Then on January 4th, 2008, a witness at a Chevron gas station called the DeKalb Police Department and said, hey, the guy you're looking for is cleaning out his van. Here, come find him. The police obviously arrived quickly at the scene. They were able to stop, and they quickly apprehended him, and the crime scene analysis obtained blood evidence. They obtained all kinds of different evidence that Gary Michael Hilton was subsequently responsible for multiple deaths, and he was arrested and charged with not only Emerson's murders, but the prosecution agreed to take the death penalty off the table if Hamilton would agree to lead them to her remains. Hilton subsequently agreed, and they successfully found her remains, which is very sad in my opinion. But he actually said that, well, when we were together, this woman was, quote, it was hard. You got to remember, we spent several good days together. And this is a man who had kidnapped a woman. On January 30th, 2008, Gary Hilton pleaded guilty to the murder of Emerson. He was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole of 30 years. But then he was subsequently found guilty of all these other murders and was sentenced to life without parole. And honestly, if it were up to me, he would be spending his life in Outworth Penitentiary in 23 hours of darkness with no human contact. All the lives he took and the harm he inflicted for no reason whatsoever, for a few $100s. And I'm glad that he is rotting in prison. And believe me, I know his demons will come knocking, especially with all the demons he has in his freaking horrible heart. And I don't believe anything about this, schizophrenia. I think he knew exactly what he was doing. I think he knew, and this was deliberate. This is a cold-hearted killer who had no respect for life, no respect for anybody but himself. And honestly, I don't believe that his schizophrenia had anything to do with it. Nobody with that kind of mentality would understand, he knew exactly what he was doing. He had the pretense to put on a mask when he went to the ATM machines, and he just wanted to hurt people and wanted to do what he wanted to do, and he deserves to rot in prison for the rest of his life. And I just think it's sad that he got to live so many years and he took so many lives, and people that deserved much more in life, whether this POS, and people like this beautiful woman, Meredith, and her dog. And it just makes me sick. And I'm sorry if I speak so openly, but I believe that he deserves to rot in prison. And I think that if it was up to me, like, he would be in a dark cell for 23 hours a day with all his demons coming knocking, letting him know what he did. And believe me, those kind of demons, they will come knocking, and he will be suffering. So I just pray for the families of his victims. And who knows how many other families he destroyed, or how many other lives he took before he was caught. And I'm just so glad that Meredith had the strength that she did, and she is a hero, and all of these people are heroes. And honestly, this was a monster that is in prison now, rotting where he belongs, and he will never get out. And honestly, I just pray and send all my thoughts and prayers to all the families and everyone that he affected. And I'm just so sorry that you had to have to endure a monster like this. But I can offer you this comfort that he will never harm another human being, because he is rotting in prison where he belongs. And I don't want people to think fearmonger or anything like this. I mean, this is a rare thing. There are not a lot of people like this, but unfortunately there are some people like this. But it shouldn't keep you from going out on trail and enjoying the nature. And people like this, they will always be brought down, and they are always going to be brought down because they are evil. And in my opinion, good always overcomes over evil. You don't have to agree with me, but that's just the way I like to look at things. And in this case, I'm right. This man will never hurt another human being again. And he is never, ever, ever going to hurt somebody again. I want to thank you all for watching. I know this was a hard video. I appreciate everybody watching. Please be respectful in the comments if you choose to leave them. Special thank you to CO.AG for providing the background music, as always. And if you guys haven't checked them out, go ahead and check out their channel. It's an amazing channel. They've got great music. And I will see you all in the next one. Take care. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking with me till the end. And some of you have asked me, like, yes, I work a full-time job, but I also have terrible insomnia. So I'm up a lot at night, and I'm working on these videos, and it's awful. I'm not wishing it upon anybody, because insomnia is terrible, and oftentimes I don't fall asleep until 3 a.m. But actually that's when I get my work done. I'm doing these videos and coming up with these ideas and doing my research and whatnot. But I thank you all for all your support, and I love you all. And yes, I know I don't use a script. I just talk. I talk what I know about the subject. One woman said that, Bryan stumbles a lot on what he says, but one guy said that I was very well read. Well, being very well read means your understanding of the topic. Doesn't mean you have to speak as clearly. And I'm sorry if I make mistakes, but that's just how my channel is. And I am constantly trying to improve my form, improve my speech. And I apologize when I stumble upon words, but I just, my channel is based on being a family and us all being together. And it's not about being, a Steven Spielberg type production. And I just hope you all understand that. And I appreciate everybody for watching and all your feedback. And thank you for all your comments. And I will see you in the next one. Take care.